Oh, yeah. My shirt is stained because I was putting together a cake already. Hi there. Welcome, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday. This is a long-running tradition the number of YouTube cooking channels have been doing for the past several years or so, maybe the past decade or so. It's just become a tradition for a lot of channels to, well, just that. On Wednesday evening, do a video, well, not necessarily evening. On Wednesday, do a video about cast iron. I am one of the few cooking channels that are doing a live video on cast iron every Wednesday, which I hope makes me a little bit different. But really, the whole point of this, of course, is for everybody to have some fun. And I hope we have because, well, folks have been kind enough to come to this channel for a little more than the past 4 years now here for Cast Iron Wednesday. Excuse me, I think I'm coming down with something. But the show must go on. And yes, it is okay. And I should probably say as well, as I mentioned in the chat just now, that yes, it's even though the topic of tonight will be baking a cake, and of course having to do with cast iron. Yes, if people want to talk about the hurricane, please do so. You know, if it helps de-stress, with one exception. There has been far, far too much stupid politics in the news about the hurricane. No political arguments, regardless what side or position you take about it. No politics. Rather, we're just going to bake a cake, really, because that would also, I mean, consider, as I said, this is just a cooking channel. I mean, there's really not much we can do here other than worry about friends and family we have down in Florida. And of course, worrying is a good thing. But, well, maybe, making a cake here in cast iron tonight might help to lessen the stress at least a little bit. I think that's really about the best we can do. Kind of like while we're certainly talking about it, we don't obsess with it and just do our best to relax. Okay, that's about best I can say. But other than that, though, hello again, as always, to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here on my channel tonight. Hello to Fuzzfork8 and Cynthia Wesley and Rocket Caver and Rick Stumbow and Pat Z. And hello to Scott Smith, who I understand this is your first time out here on this live channel tonight. Well, thank you very much for showing up. And thank you to everybody who's been kind enough to show up here for the first time, and as well as for folks who have been here regularly, like Rich Qualls. Hello, 9 Honeypot as well. And yeah, I do have some stains on my shirt. Yes, that's partly because of, well, mostly because of the prep work I was doing before this video started. So no, there's nothing naughty about these stains on my shirt, I promise. It's simply that, well, baking can be messy, especially here. I think that's one reason why a number of people come to this channel, especially for, as they call it, the chaos. And we'll see whether or not there's any chaos tonight. But yeah, I did. Yeah, blackened flour. Yeah, there you go. However, as mentioned in the description of this group, of this video tonight, this kind of stemmed from my doing my best to grow and use a sourdough starter, which I still have in my fridge. And as you know, sourdough starter has to be fed at least once a week. And feeding the sourdough starter means you discard at least half of it. And well, that means I could either throw out that half or I could use it, which means I'm already starting to look for excuses rather to use sourdough starter. And so that's where I got the idea of looking around for, hey, maybe there's a cake recipe that uses yeast. And guess what? There is. And here we are now with making a classic German cake, which they call Gugelhupf. If I'm even pronouncing it right. If anybody here can speak German and tell me if Gugelhupf is the correct way to pronounce it, please let me know. But yes, and that's the other thing too. The cast iron cake molds that especially the vintage ones made in the early 20th century and even in the 1800s. Those of you who know something of the history of these cast iron cake molds know that these were started long before the bundt pan became popular in the 1960s or so. They've been making these for, as I said, at least the 1800s or maybe the 1700s, mostly in Europe, in fact, until they finally slowly came to the United States. And as it turns out, one of the most popular recipes to make in this kind of a cake pan, or in this kind of a design of a cake pan, was in fact Gugelhupf. In fact, apparently many of the cast iron cake pans made in Germany of this style were originally described as Gugelhupf pans. So yeah, that's a little bit of history that I'm more than happy to take part in. And yes, this is in fact a vintage cast iron cake pan. This, folks may know, was one of the greatest scores of my life. And I'm not exaggerating, because I found this at the Brimfield Antique Show in 2021, and I paid $20 for it. And that's why I can generally say this was one of the greatest scores of my life, and I'm really glad to have pretty much any excuse to use this. Okay, so having said that, though, we're actually doing this in two parts. That's because you have to prepare the cake batter, or the dough in this case, and then you have to rise it in a warm place for about an hour and a half. Well, that's why I did that part in advance. So in a way, I'm not going to end up actually making two of these Gugelhupf cakes, although we're only going to be able to see one here on this live channel tonight. And hello, Monkey Ranch. Do I agree? Yeah, agree on cast iron, especially BSR. Yes, exactly. Leave the politics out of it. Yeah, that's what we're doing tonight, I promise. Yes, I have sometimes gotten into politics. That's for my own personal reasons. My channel. But right now, as I said, we're just going to do some stress relief from the hurricane. And having said that, let me see. I've got a few warm things I've been keeping in the oven. And in fact, I've got to start heating up the oven now. Here's where I think I'm going to actually try to deviate from the recipe, because I'm a fool like that who likes to experiment. The Gugelhupf recipe that I included in the description of this video says that I'm supposed to bake the cake at 45 minutes at 360 degrees. I'm actually thinking more of a low and slow might be a better plan for it. So I've been trying to get these things in the oven nice and warm. Like, for instance, I've got a couple of, I've got a couple of sticks of butter that I've been bringing to room temperature in the oven, so they'll be nice and soft. What else do I have? Oh, yes. And here is my starter, my sourdough starter, or rather the half of it that was originally discarded. I forget, there's really a name for the part that you discard from the starter, and I forget what it is, but nonetheless, I fed it this afternoon. Come on, I don't want to think this thing's sealed up. I don't want to get it all over the place. There it goes. Okay. Yep. Almost got it all over the place. Ugh. Boy, doesn't this look lovely? But yes, here is my starter, which I hope the camera shows is nice and bubbly. So I'll be able to use this. The actual recipe, of course, calls for yeast. But then again, the whole point of, there certainly is yeast in this, and the whole point of this, of course, is to use the starter in this recipe. So we're going to try doing it this way. And finally, what I also have in the oven, as I said, take this off. I started already earlier tonight. So here is the prepared dough. I've only been able to rise it for an hour because I only finished the prep work on this about an hour ago. So this has been rising for a little bit. I'm hoping it's enough at least to give us something of a decent cake. Anyway, it's got a nice consistency to it. It's softer than a bread dough, and it's got a nice smell to it too. But you're going to find that out in a few minutes. This one, by the way, is a large cake pan. Let me put this here for the moment. And let's heat it. I think, as I said, the recipe says 45 minutes at 360 degrees. I'm going to only bring it to 325 degrees, and I think we're going to do it for an hour. We'll see how that works. So maybe less than an hour, depending on what it looks like. We'll I'm going the wrong direction. Okay, bringing it down to 325 degrees. And as this thing is heating up, maybe if I put this where the residual heat from it's going to come and start heating this pan up already, maybe that might work. Okay, but having said that, why does everyone's stove cleaner than what mine looks like? Believe me, my stove has gotten kind of dirty over the last couple of years. I certainly will say that. I've been making an effort to clean it, and I'm really not sure how successful it's been, unfortunately. Part of the thing is, I've got to take a major project a weekend soon and pretty much degrease the kitchen. I'm sure you know that feeling all too well here. Yeah, that grub looked good. Dubs, okay. Cynthia, was a 9 by 13 and filled to the top. Oh, that all sounds interesting too. Starter will rise a dough, but slower and not as much as commercial yeast. Well, there is that, Rocket Caver. That's one reason why I'm doing this in two parts. This one here, I did in fact use yeast with. I mean, my plan is, as I said, I'm going to get this into the oven, and then from there we're going to actually start making the dough. And like you said, since the starter takes longer to rise, I'll have more time. I might even let it rise. Well, yeah, maybe I'll even let it rise overnight and try baking it tomorrow. But nonetheless, here is my setup. Okay, still cleaner than old Silco wood stove. Yeah, Fuzz, don't feel like your oven's the only one. I cleaned mine after the holidays and the beginning and the end of summer. And we are getting close to that time, aren't we? That's for sure. French and Belgian is all we ever hear about. Okay, let me move the microphone to a convenient place that hopefully won't get too messy. I like this microphone, though. It's a nice, sensitive microphone, so that's doing pretty good as well. And I have not yanked out any cords this time. Okay. Anyway, it's actually a pretty simple recipe, a pretty basic dough recipe here. I forgot to take out the egg. Oh, crap. Did I even remember? You know what? I think I might have even forgotten to mix eggs into that cake. That's probably why. Okay, well, I'll deal with it. Anyway, at least this way I'm thinking of it now, so I won't make a mistake. Yeah, yes, I actually forgot the eggs. Okay, well, this time I won't forget the eggs. So anyway, I just happen to have 3 eggs left too, so we're doing pretty good. All right, that means let's get started. Okay, I feel more chaos coming on. Well, welcome to my kitchen, Ronald. All right, first thing I should do is measure out the flour. And I have mentioned before that in baking, I've found the flour in particular, it's a good idea to sift the flour and measure the flour. I do believe it actually gives a better result. So I've said, okay, and I've got to do 500 grams of flour. Did I put the flour back? Okay. All right. Here we go. Just good old regular all-purpose flour, by the way. I am not using cake flour because this is an older recipe from before they actually produced modern-day cake flour. So 500 grams coming up, which actually is not really going to take that long, as I've found out. And it's really not hard to sift either. I mean, I considered getting one of those flour sifters, the kind with the handle that you squeeze, but I found that this particular strainer works just fine. And besides, I have multiple uses for it too. This is also a good rice washer too. So as such, I'm really glad to have this particular sieve. All right, we are just about, we've just passed the halfway mark. We've got about 250 here. And still going, 70, 80, 300. Okay, just got to watch myself. I don't want to spill this all over the place. We're now at 400, so we're almost there. I think I'll Put that down a little bit. Now comes the fun part, trying to get it as exact as possible. In fact, I might have already overdone it. For 60, 70, 80, 90, bam, 500 exactly. All right. And not really too much left over either, so that didn't go too badly. Okay, that means got to clear my workspace and prevent accidents. So let's put this flour aside. I can't believe I forgot the eggs. Well, fortunately, as I said, that's all right. That one's really for show. Hopefully, this one will be a decent cake. Anyway, from here, it's only going to be a matter now of, as I said, this is in the days before baking powder and baking soda. In fact, let me double check that. Yeah, no, definitely. Because we're using yeast, I'm certain that there's no powder or soda in this recipe here. Going through the list of ingredients. Oh, the oven just beeped. Okay, I think we might be able to just put the cake into the oven right away. So give me a second again. Let us move to the oven. In goes our almost cake. Okay. I have no idea how that's going to turn out because now I'm kicking myself for forgetting the eggs. Oh well. Anyway, where was I? I was checking the recipe. That's what I was doing. Oh, come on. I really do not like the way most of these recipe websites here are full of ads. And I mean full of ads. Okay, here we are. Yeast, sugar, cup of lukewarm, okay. Butter, yeah, that's what I can't believe. I forgot the eggs. Okay, all right. Okay, now let me see. Got it. So this, in fact, we're going to the flour we're going to add in later as we mix it. That means I can put this aside for the time being. In fact, I can also put my scale away, or at least put it to the side. And now let's get out the mixing bowl. Okay, let's also try to, oh, come on, it's not one thing, it's another. Excuse me 1 second. There we go, that's a little bit better. Move this to the side. Oh, yes, I know. All right, let's raise this a little bit. There we go, that's actually not bad. Move this a little closer. Move this down, finally. There we go, thank you for waiting, folks. Okay, now we get to put our ingredients together. Now we're supposed to use yeast and warm milk. Well, instead, I've got the sourdough starter. By the way, thank you very much for pointing out that it will take longer for the starter to rise. All right, so here goes our starter. And to this, I might actually mix in a little bit of flour, I think, so that it doesn't make the cake doesn't add too much liquid to the cake. I'm thinking there's maybe about a 1/4 cup of water or so mixed in with this. So, keeping that in mind. Oh, what the blazes? How did that happen? Yeah. Okay, let me check the oven and find out why this went off. The cake looks okay. I'm thinking there must have been just some residue from the oven. All right. Anyway, now as I was saying, I think I will throw in only a little bit more extra flour into here just to be sure that there's not too much liquid. Probably no more than that. And I know I had a knife here somewhere. So just go here. Okay, all right. There we go, just as I said, to kind of thicken this up. That's not bad. Now it looks less like liquid, because I'm about to add liquid to it now. And that would be supposed to do 1 cup of lukewarm milk. Well, I haven't heated this milk yet, so I've got to quickly put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds. All right. Meanwhile, let's get out the sugar. Put all these things back afterwards. Okay, 1/3 cup. You know, this cake only calls for 2/3 of a cup of sugar, though in the end, we're also going to smother it with powdered sugar at the end. So here is 1/3 cup, and here is another 1/3 cup. Next, let's get that milk out. See what we have here. Probe thermometer. Where did my probe thermometer go? Can't find anything. All right. Here it is. Just to be sure the milk is not too cold. Yeah, no, this milk is, it says here, about 75 degrees or so, which is okay. That means it's not going to freeze the yeast. So, especially since we have the sugar in there already. In comes a cup of milk. And we're going to do 1.5 sticks of this softened butter here. Where did I just put that? Here it is. Okay, so we can, one part of it here, just plop. Yeah, that helped. There we go, that's better. And finally, I'll put this aside. 3 eggs. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be saying that again and again. Oh, well, I'm the one who's responsible for it. And besides, I don't have to, in the end, if it doesn't work out, we don't have to eat it. But my wastebasket is way over here. Okay. Now, 1. No mistakes this time, right? Here comes 2. And 3. So far, we're 3 for 3. All right. And now, that's pretty much it for our dough. In that all we do is we start creaming all this together, and then we start adding in the flour. So that means now it's time to move over to the mixer. Although, no, I already did that. Okay, the cake is in the oven. All right. This part is actually going a little bit faster this time. Maybe because I prepared in advance for once. what am I doing wrong now? There we go. Okay. All right. I also found out last time, well, maybe yeah. Hopefully not. Okay, let's see if this, okay, since this is going to be a dough, no, actually I can't start it out that way because I have to cream these together. So I am going to have to start, I'm actually going to have to use 2 paddles again. So first, the standard paddle. Bring this up and start mixing. Keep that paddle speed low. Sorry, let me move this over here, the mic. Keep that paddle speed low. Yes, I agree there. I am not interested in splashing all over the place. I'm hoping I can get a better view of this, in fact. That's not bad. Okay. I crack my eggs one at a time in a separate bowl. Yes, I usually do that too. Mainly to ensure I don't get any eggshells in the batter. Yes, exactly. And also home chickens. I agree there. We could have made croutons. Oh, that sounds good. Okay, here comes the mosquitoes. What, are there mosquitoes here? Oh, you're probably not talking about me, I guess. Yeah, because the weather is starting to change here in New York as well, and Val will be able to confirm that, in that the temperature, we've now just gotten to the point where the temperature is dropping into the 40s at night. So I do believe the insects are going to die off or hibernate, which may not be a bad thing. Trial and error phase. Okay. Made a sourdough loaf that didn't rise. Birds loved it. Oh, yes. Yes, yeah, Mark Sieber. I know the feeling. I'm only just starting to learn how to do sourdough as well. My first attempt a couple of weeks ago at doing sourdough did not rise as well as I'd hoped. I can only hope this starter is doing okay. I mean, I've had it now for about 3 weeks. I hope I haven't damaged it. Struggle to make it to 60 today. Yes, exactly. So, well, we are getting into that time of year. Okay, I'd say at this point, it's probably time to start mixing in the flour. So we do it a little bit at a time. That's the other thing I've learned. Just dumping it in all at once does not give you the right consistency. You can hear the sound of the paddle is starting to change. And it is definitely starting to thicken up now. So far, so good. And there's the last of the flour. Well, that looks like it's taking on a decent consistency. I hope it's not too wet. But soon enough, I'm going to find out. And in fact, now is the point where I'm going to do something a little different. Turn it off, lower it, take off this paddle. Besides, now there are the extra bits of flour as well. Come on. Take this off. Well, it's definitely developing some gluten at least. Little by little, this and that. Might even scrape off more as it's still stirring. And switch over to my bread hook, or spiral in this case. Yet another flea market find. I actually found this at the flea market a few years ago. Do this right, shall I? There we go. Got it. What am I doing wrong now? Don't panic. There we go. At last. Up we go. And here's where we turn it up a little bit. Because this isn't a cake batter, it's a dough. Yeah, this is almost like something like a cross between a cake and a loaf. All right. Second Washington stage, entering month 4. Wow, we'll have to work tonight. Well, my condolences, Foucault. Please read me. Yes, exactly. Scrape the sides of the bowl. Yes, that's exactly what I'm about to do. Honest. I didn't forget this time. Let's scrape the sides here. Now we just have at it for a few minutes. On in. I only have the mixer up at halfway, but that should be sufficient. Try to scrape off the little bits excess from the other paddle, shall we? Even though I end up getting this all over everything. Yeah, as I said, this is the difference between this cake and a regular one, is that we're actually making a dough rather than a batter. But while we're doing that, let me move this mic back a little over here. Time to change our view from here to the cast iron cake pan, because here's another thing that I'm doing that I don't usually do. You know, usually I preheat the cake pan. This time I'm not doing that. Instead, I'm going to butter it. This is butter, by the way, not shortening or lard or anything like that. It is good old butter, and I'm trying to smear as much butter as possible all over the insides of this cake pan. And seeing all the nooks and crannies here, that's actually going to be quite a job, isn't it? Well, I can only do the best I can. Let's get this bowl out of the way. All right, that includes, of course, rubbing this all over the inside here as well. I'm not so sure if using a basting brush would be any better. That's why I'm using my hands here. I'm trying to smear it all over as much as possible. And then after this, I'm saying it especially so I don't forget, the next thing I'm going to do is pour in some sliced almonds. I'm going to pour them into the bottom here so that they will be on the top of the cake when it comes out of the oven. There we go. Now we're starting. I'm also going to have to wash my hands again. And be as generous as possible. That, by the way, was about maybe 1/8 or 2 tablespoons roughly of butter. Make sure it's all completely covered here on the top. There we go. I'm making some progress at least. Trying not to miss anything here. And as we're doing this, all right, let me see what we have here. Where's Miss Mobley? She is actually in relaxing. I closed her door tonight. She is inside for the night. Excuse me 1 second. I have to quickly wash my hands. I may be rushing, but it looks like I'm going to have almost half an hour yet to kill because we're actually already at the crucial point here. So now that we've done that, let me see here. All right, leave no crease on grease, exactly. But now the next step, sliced almonds. All right, let's get this open. And here's where we add these into the inside of the cake pan. I think this may also help prevent it from sticking on the bottom too. Instead of greasing and flouring, we are buttering and coating the sides with nuts. No, I wasn't going to say it. You know, greasing, flouring, buttering. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. And from here we go. That's not bad. Because at this point, I think we're about ready here. Let me get a little bit more butter on me. The same issue for my mom. Okay, now that we've done this much, let's head back over here. And I hope this isn't too moist. Okay, but now move this back over here because now there's one other thing we have to do, and that is I've been soaking some raisins in rum. So let's get rid of the rum. Where did my little sieve go? There we go. Okay, that's just the thing from the milk. So let's pour the rum into here, you know, just in case someone might want to use that rum a little later. And I think I'll put these into this bowl here. This was the one that had the butter. All right, put this rum aside. Okay, and we need to actually mix just a little bit of flour in with these raisins, not much, just so that they're not soaked, or at least not soaked on the outside. You know, maybe no more than that. Well, the cake, for whatever it's worth, is actually starting to smell pretty good. All right, let's do a fork, shall we? Just mix these all together so that they're coated with flour. As I said, that way the outsides at least will not soak the inside of the cake. There we go. That's not bad. So now these raisins are no longer sopping wet, even though they still have some rum in them. Next, and we're almost done, by the way. All right, let's go back to here. Look at here it is. This thing. Really hope this isn't too soft. Okay, because let me wipe something off here. There we go. It's a little better. All right, what we're supposed to do now is actually, let's see, what consistency is this? No, it's not bad, I think, because what we're supposed to do now is fold in the raisins. As long as this batter stays together, I think we'll be good. I really hope this isn't... No, I don't know. It looks like it may have a decent consistency. This is my third time doing this, so I am no expert. I'm just kind of hoping. Well, okay, the first one that I made last night did not turn out too badly. So here's hoping that tonight's cake at least equals that. All right, now from here, as I mentioned, we're supposed to fold in the raisins. Get this microphone cord out of the way just to be safe. And once we do that, into the cake pan it goes, where we're going to rise it in the cake pan, into the buttered cake pan. Or we will attempt to. All right, now, hope I can get this right, because I do not want to get this all over the place. Oh, there it goes. Once again, I'm an amateur. I do not know if I'm doing this right. But it seems to have gotten into the pan. All right. Move this down a little bit. There we go. I don't know if I might be bold enough to say that doesn't look too bad. Let's move this out of the way now. Let's move this over here. There we go. There's a better view for you. Okay. I think I should probably clear this out of the hole. And I don't think I want to mess around with it too much. But as I said, I don't think this looks too bad. All right. Where did I put that knife? Did I put it in the sink? Here it is. Get this extra. Try to clean out the hole. Okay, I better stop fiddling around with it. But phew. Okay. Too bad you don't have someone to turn the pan as you dump in the dough. Yeah, I agree. This would be a good two-person project, wouldn't it? I am not objecting to that either. Okay. All right. Now that we've done that, as I said, we are supposed to rise this. When you're using yeast, the recipe calls for about an hour to an hour and a half or so. But as somebody pointed out, sourdough starter rises much slower. So you know what? I guess that means we're probably going to have to rise this maybe overnight. Okay. In that case, let me dig out this bowl once again. There we go. Okay, so part one. Meanwhile, the other cake is in the oven. Even though I forgot the eggs because I'm an idiot, let me check and see how it looks. Very hard to tell at this point. Let me give you a brief look at what's in the oven, although as you can see, I don't think we can see very much. Let me move the mic over too. Gotta remember, the mic is not traveling with me anymore. Okay, lower this a little bit. And then after this, I think we've got at least, probably at least half an hour or more yet to have a discussion. Or whatever. So anyway, as you can see, besides, my door is unfortunately still very dirty. So yeah, whoever said that my oven is cleaner than yours, as you can see, that might be a point of contention. However, I'm thinking it might be rising, but I'm finding it very hard to tell. However, having said that, let's rise this up a little bit so that I don't seem to be looking down on you as much. Okay, at last. Move this out of the way so I don't drop it. Phew. All right. So anyway, that's our project so far. No, this live video is not over. We're only 45 minutes into it. What time did I get that into the oven? I think I got it into the oven maybe by about 10 past 9, 8 rather. I tried to be as quick as I could. So that means we have about maybe 20 minutes or so before it comes out of the oven. Did you make your jambalaya over the weekend? Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. And I do like how it turned out. I had so much company that I did not have a chance to film a video of it. I'll just say briefly, my dear friends, Panic and Anthony, they came here for an overnight on Sunday, which ended up becoming a 3-day stay. In fact, they just left maybe about an hour or so before this live video began. However, not only have they left, and I know I didn't kick them out, but they have completely cleared all of their stuff out of my home. There was a lot of stuff they had left behind from when they were staying earlier. They are now completely gone from my home, which is good because they're going back to up to their home in Oneonta for the weekend. Boy, my shirt is stained now. For until the weekend, and then they're heading down to, of all places, Florida. Yes, they are emigrating to Florida for the winter, and they are anxiously watching the hurricane as well, to make sure that the place that they are staying isn't damaged. But we can only see what happens here. Corey Clark, I found a 1-gallon Baltimore pot with big gate markup. Baltimore, wow, congratulations. That may potentially be a 1700s pan. So yeah, I hope you didn't pay too much for it, or maybe it was just out of your price range. I've found a few things too and did not buy them because they were ridiculously expensive. Well, thank you very much, William Hurt. I did do some cooking. I mean, I did do some photos of that cooking, as you saw. You know, my first attempt at this Gugelhupf cake, I made some chicken and rice, as well as the jambalaya. But after tonight, I really intend to get down and, catch up on these videos here, because I've got a few things to show. Not the least of which, you remember those two really crusty vintage pans? I'm thinking right about now, we could probably take not right now, but by this week, I want to do a short video where we actually see what's underneath that crud on those two pans. Also, I've got to do a video update on the Griswold aluminum kettle, which, I'm sorry to say, I have some bad news in that I'm not going to be able to use it, because I should have checked this while I first found it there in Brimfield. That the inside of that kettle is so pitted, there are holes in it. There are a couple of pinholes on the bottom, unfortunately, that you can see when you shine light under it. So That means that pan is effectively worthless. So I'm going to have to eventually find some other kind of aluminum kettle. Oh well, that's how it goes, unfortunately. And I suppose that's why I only paid $22 for a Griswold at Brimfield. I need an apron. Yeah, I do need an apron. I don't know about an official apron, but I think I do need an apron. Maybe I should design one because, I do actually have a little merchandise thing here on my YouTube channel with about three things that I made several years ago, and I never promote it. I've practically forgotten about it. Maybe I should try designing some merch and see whether or not, well, people might actually buy it. I mean, that's certainly not enough to make a living from, but then again, neither is my channel. But I just do it for the heck of it. But yeah, well, maybe design some merch and see what happens. So sounds like a planter now. Well, could do that. I mean, that's certainly not out of the question. We demand chaos merch. Well, the things that are already on the merch section of my channel, they are in fact chaos. If I barely remember what they are. I believe I did a beach towel, in fact, with the Star of Chaos on it, and I did a cell phone cover, which has a picture of a BSNR number 3 pan on it. Check it out. I'm pretty sure that the link is likely right down here, or maybe on the channel. I don't even remember anymore. I've got to look and see where that merch link is. Wagner tea kettles are all over the place here and fairly cheap. Well, that's certainly worth considering. Yes. Um, yeah, I mean, if I'm going to get an aluminum kettle for boiling water, I suppose I should go the vintage route instead of just simply buying something cheap at Ocean State Job Lot. Hot gloves with your name on it. Yeah, you never know. All of that doesn't sound like a bad plan here. Hmm. All right, let me check the rest of these comments and see if I've missed anything. Not quite avoided, probably possibly mitigated. Yeah, I'm interested to see how the no egg one turns out. Yeah, I'm curious myself. I mean, okay, if it's edible, then it's not a complete disaster. That's the best I can say. But we will find out. And I can definitely smell the cake. And no, this actually smells pretty darn good. It's got a nice buttery smell to it. No sign at all of any burning either. So I'm thinking that an hour is not out of the question. I'll probably have to check it with with the cake tester just to be sure. All right. I see burnt crispy bits in the future. Well, I hope not. I substitute prunes for raisins all the time. Too bad you. Oh yeah, too bad you don't have someone to turn the pan as you dump in the dough. No, that is certainly true. As I said, yeah, that would have been very useful. But on the whole, I don't think it turned out too badly. I will see how this ends up by tomorrow morning. I like figs more than raisins. Well, you can of course put whatever fruit you want into it because it's your cake. It's really the same as when making a Christmas fruit cake. Oh no, fruit cake! We're getting into fruitcake season, folks. Yes, it's getting to that time again. But whether you're making a fruitcake or Gugelhupf or anything else that puts fruit in it, it's your cake or whatever. And you can put whatever fruit you want in. If you want to include figs, then go ahead and include figs. If you want to include dried pineapples and crystallized ginger and those god awful gigantic red and green cherry blobs from the supermarket, which I'm never going to use in a fruitcake, you are certainly free to do so. Okay. I just had oatmeal raisin cookies. Well, that sounds good. Bench scraper time. Yeah, I probably should have used my scraper actually, now that you're saying that. I am definitely nowhere near a professional baker. There are a lot of things I need to get into the habit of. All I can do is keep baking and see how it all turns out. The kettle with herbs sounds like an awesome kitchen decor. Hmm. That may not be a bad plan right there. Maybe, say, grow some basil or rosemary in it, perhaps. I made ruffed grouse in an enamel cast iron pan with onions, wine, sour cream, heavy cream, and my secret ingredient, horseradish. Okay. I'm not a horseradish fan myself, but I would still try it just to see how it turns out. And I'm sure you know better than I do, Radagast. Here's hoping that your dinner guests like it. Oops, forgot it was a tea kettle. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it was. I suppose it still is too, but well, as I said, unfortunately, it has a hole in it. All right, tea kettle with herbs sounds like okay. Still, no other comments beside that. Okay, well, not doing too badly. Pennsylvania state bird, the grouse. Hmm, did not know that. Yeah, that is definitely smelling nice. And now we are down to about 15 minutes to go. So I can only see, as I said, how it all turns out. Flour should also stop the raisins from falling to the bottom of the cake. Well, there is that too, Jim. That's a good point as well. Like I said, I'm a novice to all of that, and I would think that that should be second nature. But at least I remembered enough from the recipe to do it. How is that wounded appendage doing there, Rick? Yes, how is it doing actually? Grease those nuts. No comment, Hog Wild. Okay. Leave no grease ungreased. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there it is. That's all I use to grease my pan is unsalted butter, unless I go over 425. All these times, I think this is the first time I've buttered a cake in butter. I mean, all these times I was using, grease and flour the pan or baker's goop, and my success rate with those has been so-so. I've had a much better success, as you've seen, with my method of preheating the pan and then oiling it, or with Crisco. And I'm wondering how well this might have turned out if I did it this way. Um, I'm not sure yet. Maybe I might stick to doing traditional cakes that way because, well, actually, that's one reason because they don't use yeast. They don't use live yeast. They just use chemicals, namely baking powder and baking soda. So that I think is one reason why preheating a cake pan to 425 might not is probably better if I'm using, as I said, baking powder or baking soda. You can't tell this has horseradish. Nobody can guess what's in it. Oh, I see. So it's your secret ingredient. And I think you said that too. I always preheat, use spray canola, and then bake. Never have had an issue. It sticks. Okay. Never had it stick. Radagast, it's like supplementing cardamom with cinnamon, both of which I've done. I love cardamom, and any excuse to use cardamom in baking is a good one. I love adding cardamom to my pie crusts for one. Ugh. Boy, and to think it we are getting close to Halloween too. Phew, boy, time is flying, that's for sure. All right. Um, I had mentioned previously the history of the Gugelhupf pan, which again, folks who know something about the history of cast iron cake pans, as I said, might be Gugelhupf, might know about Gugelhupf rather, and that's one reason why when I came across the recipe, I definitely felt like I had to make it. When my guests tried the one that I made last night, they said actually it brought back a lot of nostalgia for their childhood. So that was a good thing too. But yeah, as mentioned, regarding those cake pans, well, now both of them are both of them are being used, so I can't exactly show them right now. But regarding the cake pans, yes, as I said, seems as though that kind of a design of a cake pan was originally developed in Europe, and then it kind of like migrated over to the United States. We have seen those cake pans from names like Wagner and Griswold. um, I'm told Vollrath made an enameled one as well. Um, I don't think Lodge made their fluted cake pan until after the bundt pan became a phenomenon, but maybe someone who knows Lodge history better than I could correct me on that. However, that seems like the thing that, as I said, I don't think Lodge would have done something like that until again the bundt cake phenomenon of the 60s and the 70s. Forgot about pumpkin spice. It's apple baking time. Yes, it is. And I definitely need to do an apple pie soon, too. I'm stuck at home on the pager this weekend. maybe this might be a decent time as well to make an apple pie, especially since I have new friends and a new family who have not yet had my apple pie yet. All right. We are down to 10 minutes to go, so we're not doing too badly, that's for sure. You have to grow your horseradish. It does best in light soil. Forgot about pumpkin spice. It's apple baking time. Yes, indeed. Oh, that was the other thing I made this weekend as well. I did make a chocolate chip pumpkin spice cake, which I've made for the past several years. If you look on my channel, you will see a video of that. I should probably, well, maybe say by next Wednesday, actually. Oh, excuse me. Don't know where that came from. Yeah, maybe by next Wednesday, maybe I'll do another one of those, the chocolate chip pumpkin spice cake. Top it with crumbs. I'm making apple crisp cheesecake this weekend. Oh, that sounds good as well. Yeah, cheesecake. All of these things, we're definitely getting into that time of year to do some more serious baking. So I better replenish my vanilla and, well, jump in. And I encourage everybody to jump in as well. How about a Jewish apple cake? I've heard of it, but I have not made it myself. One thing I have made, and it's been a few years, maybe I should make another one of these, a bundt apple pie. In that this is basically an apple pie, but you use a cast iron bundt pan to make the crust. And fortunately, it's solid enough to stand up on its own, and that is the end result. My dad used to grind his own horseradish with an old German army chef. They wore army gas masks for hazmat gear. Wow, that sounds pretty impressive. Isn't no, it was mustard. That's right. Mustard gas. I was thinking there was one kind of spice that was used in chemical warfare, but I guess that was mustard gas. I don't believe I've ever heard of horseradish being used in that. Video using some John Wright stuff. Ooh, all of which definitely sounds like a plan. All I need to do is find the time for it. Yeah, as I mentioned, for one, I'm stuck on the pager this weekend, but we will work on it from there. Mm. Apple cake, top it with crumbs. All right. Mrs. Rocket said she would like to see the bundt apple pie. I do have a video of it on my channel. You can always look it up so you can get an idea of what it's like. Um, and I was quite happy with how it turned out too. One of the tricks of that particular pie, oh, here I go again. I definitely think I'm coming down with something. Anyway, one of the tricks of that particular apple pie, of course, as I said, was that the crust had to be sturdy enough to stand up on its own. And that was when I decided to use suet in the crust. And it worked well. It worked very well, in fact. Suet is something that they do use, in fact, quite regularly in commercial pie crusts. Suet, remember, is beef lard. It's essentially rendered beef tallow. It's the beef version of lard, so it's okay for people with a who are averse to pork. It's okay to use suet or in your cooking and to eat and so on. So, and it's of course, suet is also very commonly used in British pies as well and other British recipes. Isn't that bird food? Well, no, it's part of bird food. It is an ingredient in bird food. I mean, they do that bird seed mix, yes, and they call it suet, but all they're really doing is taking the seeds and mixing it all together in suet to hold it all together. The actual suet is something that you can buy at butcher shops. It's really not very common at the supermarket, much less common than lard. But if you have any kind of a meat market in your area, you would almost certainly be able to buy suet there. It is just plain straight suet. It has no seeds in it whatsoever. As I said, it is essentially the beef version of lard or pork fat, actually. In fact, you'll find that it actually has little red streaks in it, which, as far as I know, are not blood. So don't be disgusted if you see it like that. I just simply grind up my suet with a grinder and use it in my cooking that way. I don't like render it or anything like that. It all melts and it completely is absorbed in, and there's no problem at all with using suet in baking or cooking that way. Any solid fat can be mixed with birdseed. Yes, exactly. There is a very popular and very simple recipe, for instance, for peanut butter bird feeders, where you like take a pine cone and just roll it in peanut butter and then coat it with bird seed. That's one possibility. Or do really anything else and mix in peanut butter and bird seed. Suet is the fat from around the kidneys. Yes, exactly. So, and I highly recommend trying it too. I found it is more solid than lard, by the way. That's why, as I said, that's why I used it in that pie crust to make it stand up solid by itself. As such, I do feel it is really good for baking. Excuse me again. Oh, I am sorry about that. This is complete. This is not. This is unexpected. I feed the birds grape jelly every day. I think we're getting time for the cake. Okay. No, I don't smell anything baking. I'm sorry, burning. But I'm starting to think that we are getting close to that time. It's been just about an hour. So let us turn our point of view back over to here again. There we go. This looks pretty good. Phone. And time to get out the gloves. Is it the hour? It's been about an hour, as a matter of fact. That hour actually went by faster than I thought, thank goodness. So here are my silicone gloves, and here it comes. You know what? That doesn't look too bad, does it? Not too bad. It's even the edges are even pulling away and everything. As I said, I did forget the eggs. The consistency does not feel too bad, though. I think I had better get out my old cake tester. And where did I put it? Where did I put it? Don't tell me I'm gonna have to use a toothpick, or maybe it's just lying around here somewhere obvious. Oh, my bad, really, for misplacing it. Let me look one more time. I just had it earlier today. Nuts. All right, then let's get a toothpick. Kind of bums me out because I actually like the history of that cake tester. However, time for a toothpick. No problem at all. None at all. I do believe this cake is done. It does look very light on top, yes, but remember, this is actually going to be the bottom of the cake. So, like I've done before, got to let this cool for 20 minutes, well, a little less than 20 minutes since I was talking, which means that just about maybe 9:30 at the most, we'll be able to flip the cake. So that's not too bad. All right. Just put some on a board next to the feeder. Yes, exactly. Let me look again. I'm positive I had my cake tester. All right, there's a couple bowl and fork that can go away. Couple of cups. I am not sure where it went. All right. Well, I'm not going to waste too much time on it. Nonetheless, okay, like a no crust cake pie, probably goes by 10 different names. All right, misorganized. Yeah, exactly. Misorganized chaos. I'm mad at myself. I'm definitely going to give my kitchen a good cleaning. and make sure that everything is missing is found, because I'm positive I had that cake tester in my hand just earlier today. All right, nonetheless, the camera's making it look like it has a heartbeat. Oh, yeah. It's at just that angle, isn't it, where the camera seems to be auto-focusing. Well, then let's move it back a tiny bit. Let's see if that does any better. All right. Can you use different flavored jellies? Okay. I've missed over half the show fooling with a door knock. Oh, that sounds interesting. They come through like the animals they are. Yeah, exactly. I just slid to the side and watched them. Okay. Hello, Cynthia Wesley. Well, I made a mistake. What a surprise there. By the way, let me turn off the oven now. But I made a mistake in this first cake that I prepared before the live started. I forgot to add eggs to this one, the one that you're looking at right now. I did not forget to add eggs to the second one. On the other hand, this first one still looks like it does not have too bad of a consistency here. The toothpick already came out dry, and I will attempt to flip it in probably about another 15 minutes or so, I think. I noticed, well, this one did rise, which is good. I was worried about that. I mean, it's not like some of my other cakes that have, oh, that's hot. Some of my other cakes that have completely filled this cake pan. As you can see, there's plenty of room here. Maybe that's one reason why a lot of the older vintage cake pans are smaller than the modern day. Oh, there it goes again. I tripped. But at least this time I didn't yank out the cord. Anyway, as I was saying, maybe that's why a lot of those European cake pans are smaller than the modern day large cake pan here. There we go. Let's try to get a better angle, shall we? There. That's not too bad. We could pull this back a little bit more, in fact. Okay. All right, thanks, Corey. I hate throwing out food. Rather than give it to the critters or compost, rather give it to the critters or compost it than throw it away. Yes, I know that feeling. That's one reason why I made this cake, in fact, because now that I have a sourdough starter, I have to feed it every weekend, and that means at least once a week, and that means I have to either discard half of the starter or use it. So yeah, this weekend I'm gonna have to do it again. If not make another cake, then I could always try making another sourdough. Maybe I will, because that doesn't sound too like a bad plan either. I belong to a bird watcher Facebook group. That's where I learned that birds love jelly. Nice. And gift the starter. Yeah, that's my hope as well. If if any of my close friends on my Facebook friends list. I don't believe any of them watch my live videos regularly, but that means I should be able to do things like talk about Christmas presents. And yes, sourdough starter is not a bad Christmas present. Neither is cast iron, by the way. My give it away pile, I suspect much of my give it away pile is going to be given away this Christmas, because it seems like I have a lot of new friends, for that's one word for it, who definitely seem interested in getting cast iron for Christmas. So I'm actually going to be happy about that. That's for sure. Cynthia, I'm going to do a rewatch. Can't understand the smell. Oh, that's interesting. Sourdough pancakes. There is that too. What type of birds eat jelly? Well, as it turns out, as from what you say, it looks like just about all kinds of birds eat jelly. So we're not doing too badly there. All right. Also, as I mentioned, I had all I did was coat the large cake pan with butter. I smeared on a generous amount of softened butter, and so it doesn't look too bad. With the way it's pulling from the side and everything, I'm hoping that means that it's not going to stick. But we will certainly find out in just another few minutes or so. 2 shots of starter. That's kind of like a vitamin shot. Yeah. Speaking of shots, yeah, I can't forget here. Here is the rum that we soaked those raisins in, which no, I have not sampled because tomorrow is a work day. So like it or not, I cannot imbibe. Not until the weekend, anyway. Flip that cake. Oh, my gloves just fell down. All right. Well, it is still very hot right now. I usually wait 20 minutes on my cakes before I flip them. And so far, it's only been 10 minutes. All right. Even though this is kind of more like a bread than a cake, there is that. I'm debating. I mean, as I said, there are no eggs in it, but it does seem to have a very solid consistency, and there are a lot of raisins on the inside. Maybe we'll compromise and wait 5 more minutes at least before flipping. Just to be safe. Flip, flip, flip. Good thing I'm not impatient. Yeah, exactly. That one thing I'm learning about cast iron cooking is that patience is a very important ingredient in just about any recipe you're cooking in cast iron. I suppose just about any recipe in general. Although, of course, those viral videos certainly don't have a lot of patience, do they? They usually have, they all say that these things are so easy to make and they're all supposedly done instantly. Okay. All right. That's that little text there was from work. Okay. Mark, I just used a board next to the feeder. You can use anything that will work for you. About a year ago, a cable technician saw my collection of vintage cast iron and bought a Griswold large block logo number 8 for me. Nice, Jim. I hope you got a decent price for it. But yeah, things like that are a good sign that cast iron has been making a comeback over the last decade or so. I'd have to say this thing certainly looks solid enough. Maybe I might consider this more of a bread than a cake. But let's get this out. Let's start this way. Well, this is all very promising. None of this seems to be sticking to the sides. So things are looking pretty good. Let's loosen the inside here. Now that means I'm going to have to do, once again, the cake pan flipping show, the one that I've done a few times now. More than a few times, in fact. All right, that means I had better dig out a tray. Oh, yes, there it is. The tray is over here. This one works nicely with the lodge pan. And that means we also, I should move this out of the way as well. So, okay. I'm going to dig out these things. All right. The handles here. There's one. There's the other. Whoops. That's why I got to be careful. In fact, I had better take this other one and put it aside. Because I don't think it would be a good idea to knock over that other pan full of batter. Okay, that means here comes the fun part yet again. Put this on. Do this right. Actually, let's try it this way. Oh, shut up. Okay. Move this to the side. There we go. Make sure the handles are good. Put this down nice and tight, if possible, and come on. Oh no. That would be just my luck, wouldn't it? This is not centered. There we go. All right. Let's see. What else can I do to prolong the suspense? Oh, never mind. It's now or never. A 1, a 2, a 3. Bam! Hey, hey, hey! Ha 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 ha! Nice. Nice color to it too, and it's not a bad consistency either. And I made this one without eggs by mistake, but yeah, this does not look too bad at all, does it? All right. Okay, those handles make it harder to flip. Well, they do and they don't. Because at the same, if you're talking about the handles on the side of the large cake pan, yes, I agree. I got those other handles especially to make it easier to lift that. But on the whole, yeah, no, it didn't stick at all, did it? As I said, I did not preheat the pan in advance this time. All I did was I gave it a very generous coating of butter. Not Crisco, not grease and flour. I used butter that I had softened to room temperature. Of course, it's also, maybe the consistency of the dough might have helped too. I mean, I'm sure the dough was solid enough that that probably also helped it to stick together and not stick to the side of the pan or come apart. So I'm not sure yet if buttering a cake pan would work with a cake. But you know what? Might be worth trying. We will see maybe sometime very soon. But yeah, this has a nice color to it too. So on the whole, I'm liking it. By the way, it feels very solid. I could only hope that it rose enough, but we will have to find out when it cools off. But still, there you go. And the other one, meanwhile, now, okay, let me put that other one back here. Let's get one more view of this, by the way. That is this here. Which, if you remember, is the one that we prepared here, live, that is. Here's the other one, which I think, nice smell to it. I do believe this is already starting to rise some. So this is not looking too bad either. So based on your advice, I think I am in fact going to let it sit out overnight and then bake it tomorrow morning. And we will see how it all turns out. But hey, on the whole then, I'd say this actually was a little more successful tonight than I was worried about. We managed to prepare the dough for a Gugelhupf. Nice. Well, no, I can't complain. I mean, that's German. That's all. Has no relation to Google, the search engine. And so, as I said, we let it rise in the pan, and then hopefully tomorrow morning we will have another one of these. Because yeah, this is nice. However, there's one other thing I need to do. Well, no, I can't do it now. It's too hot. But once this is done, I will dust it and cover it completely with powdered sugar. I don't know if the powdered sugar will melt, so that's why I'm going to wait until this cake cools off. But that is going to be the last step. And then, bam, we have Gugelhupf, German yeast cake. Well, I don't think they call it yeast cake. I'm sure. Okay, I'm going to have to look up the translation of Gugelhupf and see what it actually means. All I know is I went looking for a cake recipe that you use yeast, or more specifically, sourdough starter. And this is what I came up with. It is pretty easy. This is a very basic dough recipe too. So, based on this, would I recommend that you folks give it a try? Hell yes. Of course, there's also the question of how it tastes. The one I made last night, I thought tasted very nice. It does not have an overwhelming sweet taste. This is not an American cake. It's not something that is going to give you a sugar rush. It is rather a nice, pleasant, sweet taste. The kind, I guess you could say, that you get with, well, European pastry. How about that? Consider it has raisins in the middle and it's going to be coated with powdered sugar rather than drowned in frosting or ganache or anything like that. So this is going to be a pleasant sweet cake, probably like the kind that you could have with your afternoon drink, tea or whatever. But that's not a bad thing, I think. So yeah, I think this turned out nice. Okay. All right, cut the cake. I can't cut the cake yet. It is still quite warm. I have to let this cool off first. I'm betting it has a consistency more of bread than cake, though. Nonetheless, okay. All right. I will post pictures of after the cake is dusted with flour because I do believe we are starting to get to that time, folks. I mean, after all, we did manage to get through here to 9:30 here. All right, with dairy in the recipe, you should let it rise in the refrigerator. All of that doesn't sound like a bad plan either. You're talking like a slow rise then. That is certainly possible. I will consider this maybe over the next few minutes because it's about time to go to bed anyway and get ready for tomorrow for work. But there we go. And this actually was not too bad. We got to use not one but two cast iron cake pans, and the result is once again a German Gugelhupf, which I'm hoping is something that you have not seen prepared in cast iron very often. I like being different in that way, and I like the results. So, having said that, as I said, I do believe it's time to. Well, no, you don't. And again, I almost tripped over it. Anyway, I do believe it is time to wrap this up, but thank you very much. And yes, well, thank you again, as always, for coming into my kitchen, Val's Black Hat Rules. And yes, thank you to everybody. It looks more like a cake donut. As I said, this has a consistency, a thick consistency, more like a loaf of bread than a cake, I think. Yeah, so it's kind of, maybe that's more what it's like because it was risen with a yeast and a dough. But as I said, we're going to coat this with powdered sugar, so it's definitely much more sweeter than your typical bread. But, okay, so there we go now. Yes, exactly, Rick Stumbaum. Mercy indeed. Gugelhupf is yeast monk's hood. Well, that's an interesting name for it. I'm sure there's probably a story behind it, and I'm going to have to look it up. Thank you very much, Radagast. And thank you as well to everybody who's been kind enough to be here tonight. To Mercy B and Jim Glathar, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, and Chris McGee, nice to see you as well. And thank you to everybody, and have a good night as well. Yeah, and especially once again, as we started this video, as we mentioned before, good luck as well to everybody who is in the southeastern United States right now. I do hope you are doing okay. And that these hurricanes that they're talking all about do not have any bad effects on you. Can only hope that everything turns out okay, but so be careful, everybody. And hey, consider this: if the power goes out, just cook in cast iron. Because why not? I mean, it'll give you something to do while they wait to put the power back on. Yeah, exactly. Can't wait to see the other cake. Yeah, neither can I. I'm really curious about how all this will turn out. But thank you, everybody, as well for taking the time to come here tonight. I do like the results, and we will just have to do this all over next Wednesday. Wow, I can't believe we still have another 3 weeks left here in October, and then, of course, the fun begins. Fun, also known as the holidays. So thank you, everybody, for taking your time to visit here tonight, and we will catch you all next week. So thank you again, and as always, see you next Wednesday.